I accidentally slept with my nemesis. He said he was pregnant, and that the baby was mine. I scoffed. You're an alpha, an S-class alpha. Anyone could get herc, but not, ugh, you bleg, shit. What the hell was that sound I just made? City General Hospital, Reproductive Health Clinic. The department head peered at me over the top of his glasses. You said, who's pregnant again? He is. How dare Alan point at me? I had already explained everything. He'd even seemed to believe me. We had agreed that I would come with him to get him checked out. What was this? Was he messing with me? I glared at him, my fists clenching so hard my knuckles cracked. Ahem. The doctor adjusted his glasses and handed me a form. Take this. Go get tested. I glanced at the name on the form and immediately balked. He's pregnant too. Write him a form. The doctor took a slurp of tea, spat out a leaf, and slapped the paper onto my hand. Pregnant my ass. If he could get pregnant, I'd get up and you could have my chair. He took another noisy sip of hot tea. Did they not teach you about protection in health class? TSK couldn't wait 10 seconds. And now look at you, panicking with a bun in the oven. Why was he only lecturing me? And that asshole Alan had the nerve to cover his face and laugh. I slapped the test form against his chest. If anyone's going, it's you. Alan bent down, picked up the form, and looked at the doctor. Come on, uncle, give me a break. It was hard enough to coax him here. Don't scare him off. I gritted my teeth and slammed my fist on the desk. Alan Vance, have you no shame? Ahem. I turned my head. The doctor was smiling at me, pushing his chair back by its armrests. This desk has been with me for over a decade. Go easy on it. The person, though? Do whatever you want. My clenched fist was suddenly enveloped by another hand. Alan's grip was firm, but his face was the picture of calm. Uncle, I can see you're busy. I'll take him for the tests first. I'll have someone send over a couple of boxes of tea for you tomorrow. Fine. Fine. Get going, the doctor said, glancing at me again and covering his mouth. Your partner really looks like he wants my job. I do not. Alan grabbed the form and, with one hand on my shoulder, steered me out the door. He leaned in close. If I remember correctly, I was definitely inside you that night. It's only been a month. If you don't want it, there's still time. Of course, if you want to have it, that's fine too. I'll raise it. I slapped his hand away. Raise my ass. The more I thought about it, the angrier I got. I gave him a kick for good measure. This is all your fault. To this day, I hate thinking about that night. He was the one who accidentally drank some bootleg liquor. But he was also the one who dragged me, who was accidentally going into heat, to a hotel room to blow off some steam. He said he could control himself. He said he wouldn't go all the way. All of it was a pack of lies. After the last test, I came out and sat down. Everywhere I went, Alan's eyes followed me. A sly, knowing smile played on his lips. I frowned, annoyed. What are you smiling at? He sat down next to me and whispered, You were so hot that night. I turned my head, smiled sweetly, and poked my finger at the corner of his upturned mouth. Alan. Yeah? What's up? Your smart mouth is a disease. You should get it treated. Maybe you can get the doctor to take a look while we're here? I was about to give him a piece of my mind when my work phone rang. So I settled for the next best thing, physical therapy. I reached out and pinched his lips shut. I used my other hand to answer the call. It was remarkably effective. Alan moved to the seat across from me. The calls came one after another. After handling 3 work messages, I had just received a meeting reminder from my assistant when I heard the person opposite me speak. Do you really love work that much? I shot him a glare, my mind already calculating how much time I had. Then I heard him say, Alphas don't pity omegas who are too ambitious. I laughed coldly. None of your damn business. I packed up my tablet, ready to leave, but a shadow fell over me. The test results aren't back yet. Where are you going? Back to the office for a meeting. I had barely taken a step before a strong hand clamped down on my arm. You can't even spare a few minutes? Is work more important than your health? Have you already forgotten the lesson from last month, when you risked going into heat to entertain a client and nearly got yourself into serious trouble? His brow was furrowed, his chest heaving. He was genuinely angry. I had no idea what he was so mad about, or what right he had to be. Alan, you're hurting me. The grip on my arm loosened. In its place, the faint, woody scent of green sandalwood began to curl around me. The temporary mark was still active. My straight-backed posture began to falter. I closed my eyes, forcing myself to calm down. When I looked up, I met his cold gaze. Not everyone is like you, Mr. Vance, born with more wealth than an ordinary person could earn in several lifetimes. My name is Leo. My life isn't worth much. I've only ever had myself to rely on, and I've never needed anyone's pity. I'll come back for the test results myself. Whether I'm pregnant or not, it's none of your concern. Alan's good looks always had a roguish edge. Combine that with the powerful aura of an S-class alpha, and his stern face could be quite intimidating. But to me, it was nothing special. I gave a cold smile, slipped past him, and walked straight toward the elevators. This guy used to chase me. What was there to be scared of? Alan transferred to my high school in our sophomore year. He immediately became the center of attention. It wasn't just his family background, looks, or class, it was also his grades. And me? I was just an ordinary guy who hadn't even presented yet and was probably going to be a beta. As for family, all I had was a deadbeat dad who gambled, drank, and schemed to sell me for cash. As for grades, in the first monthly exams after Alan arrived, he kicked me from first place down to second. A pretty face had never been a good thing for me. The only thing I had going for me was my academic performance. So I never hid my ambition. I wanted to be number one. Alan often acted as if the school wasn't big enough for the both of us. All the students and teachers thought we couldn't stand each other. I thought so too, until I suddenly presented. Because I presented so late, my first heat came on fast and nearly killed me. I was so poor back then I worked 3 jobs on weekends. The doctor recommended strong suppressants, but I cheaped out and bought the most basic kind. I injected 3 doses at once and still felt like I was being boiled alive in lava. In my small, stuffy room with the windows and door shut tight, I curled up in a corner, unable to move from the pain. I remember thinking, with a grim sense of irony, that I might actually burn to death from a feverish heat. Just as I was losing consciousness, the door was kicked open with a loud bang. Someone knelt in front of me. I didn't even have to look to know who it was. Burying my head in my arms, I forced the word out. "Get out. You're going to die," Alan said calmly. My first instinct was to snap back, but then a trace of an alpha's pheromones hit my nose. It was a clean, elegant scent that gradually grew richer and deeper. "Can you handle this?" Green sandalwood. I lifted my head, my gaze slowly tracing his eyebrows, his eyes, his nose, his lips, still so damn punchable. "Shouldn't you be happy if I die?" He gave a lazy smile, his hand landing on my shoulder and sliding slowly toward the back of my neck. "Leo, I've practically studied myself blind trying to beat your scores. In my entire life, I've never met anyone as interesting as you." I didn't move, letting his fingers probe the area around my scent gland. So let me help you. I can't even focus in class when you're not there. The second round of mock exams is coming up. You can't let all my effort go to waste." My consciousness was fading. I could only see his lips moving. My gaze drifted down and I paused for 2 seconds. A faint smile touched my lips. "Alan, beg me." A low chuckle sounded in my ear as Alan pulled me into his arms. His voice was deep and husky. "I'm begging you, Leo. Let me mark you." It was just a temporary mark. It wasn't like I was going to lose a piece of myself. And in reality, I didn't have a choice. After it was over, I asked, "How much?" Alan looked stunned, not blinking for a long moment. I explained, an S-class alpha's pheromones at market price. My cheeks were suddenly squeezed. "I'm not for sale." I pried his hands off and continued, "At market price, I probably can't afford it. What do you want in return?" Alan's tightly knitted brow gradually relaxed. "Are you serious?" I looked at him, amused. "I can't give you money, but for anything else, name your price." "In that case," Alan smiled meaningfully, "I want you." "What?" "I want to talk with you." Talk about what? Math? Physics? Just not English lit. I'm terrible at it. Let's talk about love. I tilted my head, studying him for a long moment before speaking. Fine. Throw the next mock exam for me and I'll consider it. Alan muttered little liar under his breath. He leaned in closer. If I don't work hard to stay ahead of you, you won't even give me the time of day. I closed my eyes and gave a tired smile. The respect and validation I craved most. I had found it in my supposed nemesis, the golden boy himself. Alan kept his word. He never once let me win. But he was also secretly pursuing me. The more we fought in public, the more intensely he chased me in private. I didn't understand what he saw in me, and I never officially accepted his pursuit. But we did everything a couple would do many times, and the number of times we argued was even greater. Most of my free time was spent working part-time jobs. Alan thought I was wasting my youth and demanded to know why I wouldn't accept his help. I just smiled and asked him what gave me any reason to. When he asked about my family, I always avoided the subject. When he invited me to his house, I always found an excuse. After a while, the trust began to fray. Even the most passionate feelings can be worn down. In my world, love rarely crossed class divides. Alan stood at the peak of the mountain while I was at the foot, carrying a ticking time bomb on my back. I often wondered if he loved me more or pitted me more. Sometimes, I didn't even have the confidence to argue with him. I thought back then that maybe when I made it halfway up the mountain, or at least once I got rid of that time bomb, things might be different. When I noticed Alan's growing distance, I understood. Love requires the right time, the right place, and the right people. Why would Alan Vance wait for me? During our last fight, he said I was playing with his feelings. I wanted to argue, but I couldn't find the words. For someone as complicated and sensitive as me, any amount of love poured into my heart felt like it was falling into a bottomless pit. You couldn't even hear a splash. It wasn't much different from being played with. I had never agreed to be his boyfriend anyway, so we didn't even need to break up. After that, college started. We went to different universities and rarely contacted each other. At the occasional high school reunion, his words were always barbed. If I'd been drinking, I wouldn't hold back either, firing back with a comeback for every jab. In front of everyone, we solidified our status as archenemies. And honestly, it felt right. Alan and I were better at fighting than we were at hugging. After graduating from college, I skipped grad school and started my own company. I heard Alan had gone abroad. I didn't feel much of anything. Alan was no longer the reason I strived for success. Whether he was there or not, I had to climb my way out of my class. So what if I was an omega? So what if I had no one to rely on? My life wasn't worth much anyway. I just had to go for it. A month ago, after 2 long months of negotiations, my company's partnership with Apex Pharma was finally ready for signing. The business dinner was scheduled for the day before my quarterly heat. Normally, I would have taken the day off and stayed home. My co-founder, Ryan, was supposed to handle the dinner, but he called me at the last minute. His wife had gone into labor after eating hot pot. This deal involved our company's pharmaceutical exports and couldn't be mishandled. I had to go. As soon as the CEO of Apex saw that I was the one who showed up, he immediately ordered several more bottles of expensive wine. There was another reason I hadn't wanted to come: the CEO himself. The contract had been delayed for 2 months because he was testing my limits. I'd encountered this kind of situation many times over the years. In my first 2 years of business, I'd even been subjected to crude jokes at the dinner table. I had always managed to handle it. I should have been able to get out of it that night, too. After signing the contract, I went to the restroom to throw up. As I was splashing water on my face, I felt someone standing behind me. I looked up. In the mirror, I saw my own water-streaked face. And Alan, his arms crossed and brow furrowed, studying me. I braced my hands on the sink, lowered my head, and tried to steady my ragged breathing. I splashed a few more handfuls of cold water on my face. Then I walked past him, without a word. Back in the private room, the Apex CEO kept pouring me drinks. Glass after glass. I drank as if I wasn't even aware of it. It wasn't until the back of my neck began to burn that I snapped back to reality. The air was thick with a nauseating alpha pheromone, and a greasy hand was creeping toward my waist. I forced myself to deliver some polite closing remarks, gave a few instructions to my subordinate, and stumbled out of the room. The Apex CEO said he would see me out and got up to follow. The repulsive laughter behind me grew closer. I was just about to reach the door. Suddenly, it was pulled open from the outside. I lurched forward and fell into a warm, solid embrace. It was strange, but in that moment I didn't want to move at all. The familiar scent of an S-class alpha's pheromones quickly overpowered the other, unpleasant smell. The room fell silent. With one arm, Alan hoisted me over his shoulder and carried me out. Once we were in the car, I managed a thanks. I don't accept verbal thank yous. I loosened my tie, lifted my gaze, and gave him an amused look. Panting slightly, I asked, "Then what do you want from me?" "Someone drugged me. You need to help me." I closed my eyes, laughing sarcastically as I fumbled with my seatbelt. "You deserve it." The alpha's presence suddenly pressed in on me. He bit my lip. "Are you going to help me or not?" I bit him back in the exact same spot and pushed him away. "Just drive." The next time we met was today, a month later. Alan was waiting for me at the entrance of my apartment complex at the crack of dawn. He opened his mouth and said he was pregnant and that I had to take responsibility. And I, pathetically, couldn't even get 2 sentences out before making that god-awful retching sound. So I was inexplicably bundled into his car and dazedly taken for a checkup. Which brings us to now. I'm sitting in the company conference room, anxiously thinking about the test results and that smug face of his. After the meeting, I went back to my office to rest for 10 minutes. I was just about to head to the hospital to get the report. My phone rang. It was a number I had known by heart for a decade. "What do you want?" "The test results are out." I didn't say anything. My uncle said it's still a bit early in the pregnancy. He wants you to come back in a week for an ultrasound to check the embryo's development. He prescribed some supplements which I can bring to you. Also, your pheromone levels are a little unstable right now, so you might need me to— Mr. Vance, I cut him off. "What exactly do you think you're doing?" The line went silent. Just when I thought he'd hung up, I heard him ask, "Leo, can we talk? In person?" "Talk about what? Business? The unformed embryo in my belly? Or, let's talk about you?" "What?" "Let's talk about how you've been all these years." I said impatiently, "I've been great." "I don't believe you." "If you don't believe me, then why the hell are you asking?" A laugh came through the phone. My uncle was right. Omegas in early pregnancy are often irritable and angry. "Just you wait." I snorted. "Wait for what? You've finally had enough and you're coming to put me in my place?" "I'm waiting to come over tonight and soothe you." He's insane. Speaking of soothing, Ryan's wife had just given birth, and as a responsible alpha, he needed to be by her side. So, right after accepting a gift from me for the baby, he turned around and had his assistant forward all his work to me. I'd been working overtime for days. By the time I got home today, I could barely keep my eyes open. I was already annoyed. So when I saw a suitcase by my front door and its owner standing there with a sour look on his face, I was royally pissed. I walked around him and went straight for the keypad lock. "Leo." "What? Do you have to work this late every night? Is work that important to you? Can't you take better care of yourself?" He was yelling at me. I stopped halfway through entering my code and turned around. He was glaring at me. "Alan, did you wait all this time just to lecture me? Is that fun for you? I didn't ask you to wait for me. What right do you have to give me that attitude? Have I, from the very beginning, ever once said I wanted to keep this baby? I can't even take care of myself, so why the hell would I take on a child?" It all came pouring out, like a balloon that had been pricked. All my strength drained away in an instant. I leaned against the door, my heart pounding violently. The only sound in the air was our breathing. The tips of his shoes moved closer. The warm back of his hand brushed against my cheek. "Why are you crying? Didn't you say you were doing great?" I wiped my face messily and turned my back to him. My fingers had just touched the electronic lock. A wave of heat pressed against my back as two arms wrapped around my waist. Let go. Make me. If you push me away right now, I swear I'll get out of your life and never bother you again. I took several deep breaths, trying to stop my hands from shaking. I grabbed his hand and dug my nails into the soft flesh between his thumb and forefinger. The next second, Alan spun me around and pulled me into a hug from the front. His voice trembled slightly as he laughed. I knew it, Leo, I knew it. I sniffled, my voice thick with congestion. You don't know shit. God, I hate him. Alan said he was moving in. Fine, whatever. But then he insisted on sharing a bed with me. When he came out of the shower, I found a fresh set of sheets and tossed them at him. You can sleep in the guest room. I haven't been sleeping well lately. It was true. For the past week, I'd had trouble falling asleep and would wake up constantly. That's why I'm here, Alan said, putting the sheets right back in the closet. Without the comfort of an alpha's pheromones, early pregnancy can be really tough for an omega. Symptoms include, but are not limited to, insomnia, anxiety, irritability, loss of appetite. He was calling me out. I gave him a look of utter disdain. And what makes you so sure the baby in my belly is yours? At that, Alan raised an eyebrow and slowly walked toward me. A few years apart, and he drew out the words, "You've gotten so wild? Wearing my mark while fooling around with other men? Can he satisfy you? Can he make you feel good? Can he?" I slapped a hand over his mouth. Sorry, reflex. Alan licked his lip, his eyes narrowing as he scanned me. What are you? My wrist was suddenly grabbed. He yanked me forward, and I crashed into his half-open shirt. In the blink of an eye, he had an arm around my waist, half carrying and half guiding me as we tumbled onto the bed. One of Alan's hands was still under my lower back, the other gripping my shoulder. His entire body was less than a hand's breadth away. I kneed him, but he immediately pinned my leg down with his own. What the hell is wrong with you? If you're not sure it's mine, there's one way to find out, right? Before I could react, he effortlessly flipped me onto my stomach, his chest pressed against my back. Let go. You'll feel better in a second. The scent gland on my neck was suddenly covered by something wet and hot. His tongue gently licked the small, raised nub. I squirmed, trying to push him away with my free hand. My reward was a slight stinging sensation on my neck. Alan was biting me, slowly releasing his pheromones. Almost instantly, the scent of green sandalwood drew out my own scent of young bamboo. I suddenly remembered something my health teacher said in high school. When compatible pheromones meet, they are like two plumes of smoke rising from an incense burner. They swirl and chase each other, gradually merging into one. Then they diffuse into the bloodstream, flowing through each other's bodies. Right now, I felt like I was soaking in a pool of warm water. Every pore in my body was opening up. It was relaxing, but it was more than just relaxation. It was a rising tide of pleasure. A large hand slid down from my lower back. Alan mischievously breathed hot air into my ear. I blushed and buried my face in the pillow. I found his arm and pinched it, hard. After a low chuckle, I was flipped over again. At some point, Alan had stripped himself naked. And now he was reaching for my clothes. You're glaring at me? When you glare at me like this, Alan purred, his voice deep. How is that any different from flirting? What do you think you're doing? He threw the covers over both of us with one hand, while his other hand got busy. Something that will make you very happy. The scents of green sandalwood and young bamboo intertwined. A lingering, intimate dance. Alan's voice was low and hypnotic. More? I bit my lip, and following my instincts, I let out a soft MHM. He pulled me into his lap. I clung to his shoulders as waves of tingling pleasure shot up from the base of my spine, forcing me to bite my lip to stay quiet. The pressure from behind suddenly intensified, and I couldn't help but bite his shoulder. Alan pressed me harder into his chest. His voice was impossibly hoarse. I'm about to explode. You bite me again and this gets real. He started it. Afterward, I was draped over his stomach. The sight made things very awkward. I kept my hands to myself and looked up at him. You should probably go take care of that in the bathroom. Alan shot me a wounded look and cupped my chin. He planted a hard, lingering kiss on my lips. Then he rolled off the bed. You ungrateful little thing. By the time Alan slipped back into bed, radiating a slight chill, I was already so sleepy I could barely open my eyes. I'll admit he was useful. But now he was shaking me awake, which was asking for a slap. Just as I raised my hand, Alan leaned his face into its path. Go ahead, hit me. Then give me a minute. Some things need to be cleared up now while the iron's hot. Otherwise, you'll just go back to denying everything in the morning. I relented. 10 minutes. Alan took my hand and held it in his. First thing. Do you admit the baby is mine? Yes. He kissed my forehead. Good. And to prevent certain people from overthinking, let me be clear. Everything I do from this day forward is to take care of the big one. The little one is just a bonus. If the big one doesn't want the little one, then I guess we'll see each other when we see each other. If you agree, give me a kiss. Alan took my hand and brushed the back of it against his own lips. Excellent. Second thing. Why wouldn't you accept me back then? Why? Because I wasn't good enough. Because I was afraid of dragging him down. Because of my ridiculous pride. I pulled my hand away and stared at the ceiling. Alan, you already know the answer to that, don't you? He took my right hand again. Then let me rephrase. If I pursued you again, right now, would my chances of success be at least 50%? Aren't you afraid I'll just play with your feelings again? Don't worry about that. Just tell me yes or no. More. He kissed my forehead again. Great. Last thing. The something I asked you 10 years ago. Leo, can you please try to rely on me a little more? 10 years ago, after one of my heats, I was lying limply on top of him. He was stroking my back when he asked if I could rely on him for other things, too. My answer then was 2 words. I can't. I genuinely couldn't. No one had ever taught me how. I almost said the same thing just now. But for some reason, the words got stuck in my throat. I turned on my side, my back to him. Alan, your 10 minutes are up. I heard a soft, resigned laugh behind me. Fine. At least it wasn't a flat-out no. He tucked the covers around me. Good night, Leo. After Alan moved in, my life did change. I had a hot breakfast waiting for me in the morning, and the lights were on when I came home at night. My sleep quality improved dramatically. This morning, I was late again. Ryan, who had just returned to work, caught me red-handed. He paced back and forth in my office, a cup of coffee in his hand. The great Leo, who's never late even in a typhoon, hailstorm, or blizzard, has apparently been late 3 times this month. Care to comment? He handled the company's finances, so I just gave him an unconcerned smile. Dock my pay, then. He snatched the file I had just opened. Is that what you think I mean, Leo? I looked up to see him grinning. Look at you, all rosy-cheeked. And I can faintly smell an alpha on you.
Spill.
What's going on? Something like that. Really? Ryan grabbed my shoulders, his voice excited. You've finally come around. Leo, all these years you were always alone during the holidays. Your sister-in-law and I wanted to set you up, but you just shut us down. He pulled me into a hug and patted my back. This is huge, Leo. It's not easy to win over an ice king like you. Tonight, we're leaving work early. You bring your partner over to my place for dinner. Julian and I will vet him for you. I pushed him away, not sure whether to laugh or cry. It's not like that yet. Stop worrying so much. My relationship with Alan right now felt like a half-cooked dish. It needed a little more time. We had parted on bad terms and hadn't seen each other for nearly a decade. Now he was walking back toward me, and I was trying to show him my true self. But 10 years is enough to change a lot of things. Maybe when he saw the real me, he wouldn't be so willing to open his arms. Or maybe this time he'd lose patience with me even faster than he did 10 years ago. That afternoon, Ryan was already rushing me out the door just after 5 p.m. Even though I didn't bring my partner, I still went to his place. Ryan and I were classmates in college, and his husband, Julian, was a senior from our department. The first time Ryan saw him, he was completely smitten. He pursued him like a bull in a china shop, all brute force. I played a big part in getting them together, acting as a middleman. Over time, Julian and I became close friends. After graduation, when Ryan and I started our company, Julian helped us a lot with funding. In the first 2 years, we often worked late into the night. Julian even learned to cook so Ryan could have a hot meal when he got home. After that, whenever I went over to their place for dinner, Julian was always the one in the kitchen. But today was different. Tonight's dinner was made by Ryan after he got home. And honestly, it wasn't as good as Alan's cooking. After dinner, we went to the nursery to see the baby for a bit. As I was leaving, Julian packed a huge bag of food for me. Ryan helped me carry it to my car. I walked slowly behind them with Julian. He suddenly slung an arm around my shoulder and asked with a grin, "Ryan tells me there's someone new in the picture. How'd you meet? When are you bringing him over for us to meet?" "Yep, 2 peas in a pod." I thought for a moment before replying, "Let's wait a little longer." "All right, but let me give you a little reminder. Before you're married, make sure you use protection. To be honest, the first time I saw you today, I almost thought you were pregnant." "Ha ha ha," Julian laughed, pinching my cheek. "Just kidding. I think I've been around the baby so much I'm getting delusional. Don't mind me." Even after I got in my car and said goodbye, Julian's words were still echoing in my head. Since Alan moved in, I hadn't thrown up once. I was eating and sleeping well, working normally, and even had more energy than before. If Julian hadn't mentioned it tonight, I would have completely forgotten I was carrying a baby. On the phone that day, Alan had suggested getting an ultrasound after a week. It had been almost a month since then. He hadn't mentioned going to the hospital at all. Had he forgotten too? While waiting at a red light, a message popped up on my phone. "I made a chestnut and black chicken soup. I have a video conference soon, so remember to drink it when you get back." Last night, just as I was drifting off to sleep, I heard him ask what kind of soup I wanted today. I had mumbled something sweet. The light turned green, and the traffic started moving. He was taking such good care of me. There was no way he'd forgotten. When I got home, the living room light was on. The light in the study was on too. Alan was sitting in my usual desk chair. Black shirt, gold-rimmed glasses. He was leaning back lazily, but his gaze on the screen was calm and focused. He radiated the natural authority and confidence of a man in charge. It was the first time I'd seen CEO Vance at work. He was handsome. Actually, he'd always been handsome. I watched him for a while through the half-open door. When I sensed his gaze shifting, my body reacted before my brain. I have no idea why I hid. 2 seconds later, my phone vibrated. "I see you, Leo. Go try the soup and see if it's good." "'Kay." The soup in the pot was the perfect temperature. The broth was clear, the taste sweet and fragrant. Ryan's cooking really couldn't compare to Alan's. I took out my phone. "It's delicious. Do you want some? I can bring you a bowl." "No, you have it. I'm almost done." I tried a chestnut. It was soft, mealy, and full of sweet flavor. After Alan and I drifted apart, I secretly swore I'd never touch these things again. I'd had more than enough of them. During the winter of our junior year, after I finished my part-time job and came home, Alan would always be there waiting for me with a paper bag of roasted chestnuts. I'd be busy with homework and studying. He'd just pull up a stool and sit next to me. His eyes would be on my work, checking for mistakes, while his hands were busy peeling chestnuts. He'd pop one into my mouth for every one he peeled. The taste, I suppose, was just like the one I was chewing right now. Just as I put down my spoon, I felt a tap on my left shoulder. Without even looking, I swung a hand to my right. Alan clutched his stomach dramatically. I glanced at him and copied him, clutching my own stomach. Alan instantly dropped to his knees in front of me, his eyes filled with panic. "What's wrong? Does your stomach hurt?" I stared at him for a few seconds, then suddenly smiled. "I'm fine. I thought you'd forgotten." "Forgotten what?" I pointed to the stool next to him, motioning for him to sit. "Alan." "Yeah." He was still frowning. "You really want me to keep it, don't you?" If I didn't bring up the checkup, neither would he. The longer we waited, the riskier an abortion would be, and the greater the chance I'd give birth. Alan looked down, silent. Silence was its own answer. "If you want a kid so badly, why didn't you just get married?" There must be plenty of people who'd want to marry you. Leo, Alan finally looked up at me. If we have this child, you and I will be tied together for life. I propped my head on my hand and looked into his eyes. How could someone be so persistent? I laughed and called his name.
Alan.
MHM. I don't have to work tomorrow. Are you free? I am. Why? Let's go to the hospital. Let's see how our little one is doing. On the way to the hospital, I was actually a little nervous. I had drunk a lot that night. Alan seemed even more nervous. He had called his uncle 3 times before 7 a.m. When he went to buckle his seatbelt, he almost plugged it into my side. Are you serious? Maybe I should drive. No, that would make me look useless. If you're tired, just take a nap. I watched him pull onto the main road, then pulled up my hood. Just as I closed my eyes, I heard him ask, Leo, you did say last night that if the baby is healthy, you'll have it, right? You're not allowed to go back on your word. I said it. I won't go back on it. A month later, I was back at City General. Last time, I had come reluctantly. This time, my state of mind was completely different. After all the tests were done, it wasn't until I heard Alan's uncle say everything's normal that I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. The doctor put down his teacup, his expression unusually serious. So you've decided to go through with it? I glanced at Alan, who was engrossed in the ultrasound picture, and replied, yes. One piece of advice. What is it? Smile more. Is it good for the baby's development? It's good for you. One more question. Are you two married? Alan looked up at that, glanced at me and said, Uncle, don't worry about that. We have our own rhythm. Humph. Rhythm? He turned sideways, shielding his mouth with his hand. You've already got a kid on the way and you still can't lock down your omega? You're a disgrace to alphas everywhere. A family shame. One day she'll decide to raise the baby on her own and you won't even have a shoulder to cry on. I coughed twice. Uncle. Doctor, I can hear you. What uncle, doctor? Just call me uncle. My left hand was suddenly grabbed. Alan's brow was furrowed as he asked me, would you do that? Do what? Raise the baby on your own and cut me out? No. Really? Then I'm going to need a marriage certificate as collateral. I finally understood the purpose of those 3 phone calls this morning. I was just about to nod and say okay. My phone rang. It was my assistant, Lynn. I got up and stepped out of the office to answer. What's wrong? Sorry to bother you on your day off, Leo. There's a woman here at the office who insists on seeing you. She says she won't leave until she does. Ryan has her in the guest conference room. Who is it? She says she's your mother. My mother. How many years had it been since I'd heard those 2 words? Just as I hung up, Alan came looking for me. Leo, my uncle was just kidding. Don't feel any pressure. I told you I was going to pursue you, and I'll keep chasing you until you willingly say yes. So, since you have the day off, I booked a restaurant. After lunch, I thought I'd take you. Alan, what's wrong? I have to go back to the office. The smile on Alan's face froze. The disappointment in his eyes was painfully obvious. Right now? Yes. Then, I'll drive you. I pulled my hand away and said quietly, you don't have to. Shortly after I was born, my dad lost his job. Soon after, he got hooked on gambling, and within a year, he had lost everything. My mom couldn't take it anymore and divorced him. After she left, my dad started drinking heavily. When he was sober, he gambled. When he lost, he drank. When he was drunk, he would try to sell me for money. A few years ago, karma caught up with him. He came to me drunk, demanding money, and got hit by a car on his way back. He survived, but now he lives in a nursing home, supported by the $3,000 a month I send him. As for my mom, the last I heard about her was in high school, when my dad drunkenly told me she had remarried and had an alpha son. In all these years, she had never once tried to find me. And now she suddenly wanted to see me. What could I possibly give her now? Could only be money. Fine. The only thing I have now is money. Mr. Schur, your mother is waiting for you in the guest conference room. Got it. As I pushed open the glass door, a plainly dressed woman looked up at the sound. Her eyes were red and swollen, and she looked so haggard I almost didn't recognize her. Leo. I stopped in my tracks, watching her walk toward me. I had to swallow several times before I could force out the word. Mom. Oh, she said, taking my hand. It's been so long since I've seen you. Look at you now, so successful. Back then I'm so sorry, Leo. Tears started to well up in her eyes. I led her to my office. If you have something to say, just say it. She looked at me, hesitating for a long time before she finally spoke. Leo, besides you, I have another son. He's as well behaved and thoughtful as you are. But 2 months ago, he was diagnosed with leukemia. We've tested all our relatives, but no one is a match. I let out a bitter, self-deprecating laugh. One wanted my money, the other wanted my life. Leo, you're my last hope. Will you please help me? I looked her in the eyes and said,
Mom, I'm pregnant.
A crack appeared in her sorrowful expression. Pregnant? When did you? How could you? I said nothing, just watched the tears stream down her face. After a moment, she approached me. Leo, you can still get tested even if you're pregnant. It's just a blood draw, it's fine. I stared silently out the floor-to-ceiling window. The sunlight today was especially harsh, but it offered no warmth. In my peripheral vision, she suddenly dropped to her knees. She cried out, Leo, I'm begging you, just get the test. At least then I can give up hope. I'm begging you, Leo, get up. I won't. Not until you agree. Leo, how can you bear to watch your mother? Get up, I said, my voice rising in spite of myself. I looked away from her cloudy eyes, defeated. I'll go with you. When I got home that night, the smell of dinner filled the air, along with the sound of Alan's complaining. I was about to come storm your office and drag you out of there. The moment our eyes met, he stopped mid-sentence. What's wrong? Did you have a bad day at work? Why do you look so pale? I turned my head to avoid his outstretched hand. I own the company. Who's going to give me a hard time? I went to the bathroom to wash my hands, Alan trailing behind me, still talking. You never know. There might be some unreasonable person who shows up to cause trouble. After washing my hands, I turned and flicked him on the cheek. Alan gritted his teeth. You're done for, Leo. Just as he pinned me against the sink, about to nuzzle my face, I said, I'm hungry. I want to eat. As I was finishing my bowl of rice, Alan suddenly spoke. Leo, are you hiding something from me? My hand, which was reaching for food, paused. I forced a smile. Why do you ask? You're not yourself today. Why are you so obsessed with my mood? Obsessed? I've been obsessed with you since high school. Do you really think I need to study you? I can tell just by looking at you. Alan's eyes were full of confidence, sincerity, and a little bit of smugness. It made me put down my chopsticks.
Alan.
Yeah? What? Do you even see in me? What do I see in you? He cleared his throat and gave a roguish grin. A lot of things. I'm into your pretty face and your hot body. I'm into your complicated, sensitive personality that only I can handle, and your stubborn, competitive spirit. I'm into how you talk tough but have a soft heart, and how you've never really forgotten me. And now, of course, there's a new one. I'm into the fact that you're willing to have my baby. I avoided his burning gaze and said casually, what if I can't have it? Don't say that, Alan reacted strongly. Don't say such unlucky things. Everything's fine, why wouldn't you be able to have it? Seeing him so anxious, I played along and muttered jinx a few times. Then I heard him say, I've already thought of a name for the baby. I picked up my chopsticks again, put a few slices of stir-fried bitter melon in my mouth, and asked cooperatively, what is it? Alan smiled proudly. A combination of our names. Kai. Perfect timing. It works for a boy or a girl. I spent all afternoon looking through a dictionary. Bitter melon, I thought, is always bitter no matter how you cook it. It was so bitter that I barely paid attention to the rest of what Alan was saying. So, what do you think? It's good, right? I swallowed the chewed-up bitter melon. Staring down at the white rice in my bowl, I said softly, it's perfect. 3 days later, I was in a meeting. My assistant, Lynn, hurried over and whispered in my ear, Leo, your mother is here. She says she has to see you immediately. What should I? Before she could finish, A figure appeared behind the glass door of the conference room. Then came a series of loud bangs on the glass. Everyone's eyes turned to me. I took a deep breath and gave Ryan a look. Then I quickly got up and walked out. The moment Serena saw me, her eyes lit up with a manic excitement. I spoke before she could. "Let's talk in my office." The second the door closed, she grabbed my arms. Her voice trembled. "Leo, it's a match. You and your brother. You're a perfect match." "Brother?" I laughed coldly. I pulled my arms free and looked at her, my face devoid of expression. "So?" She froze, as if she couldn't believe my coldness. So your brother can be saved. Leo, you're the only one who can save him." "Mom," I said, trying to stay calm. "Have you forgotten something?" She looked away. After a long moment, her voice filled with tears. "Leo, you're still so young. You can have more children later. But your brother, he can't wait. I can't just stand by and watch my child. He's only 20 years old." She seemed to be in so much pain she couldn't even speak in complete sentences. I couldn't help but take a step back. My throat tightened. I had to swallow several times before I could ask, "Mom, am I not your child, too?" She looked at me, a flicker of confusion in her tear-filled eyes. The next moment, she grabbed my hand and fell to her knees. Leo, I went through hell to give birth to you. Just think of it as what?" The air felt thick with knives, each breath a sharp, painful cut. I managed a desolate smile. "As me giving you your life back, is that it?" She didn't answer, just kept crying. Her tears soaked the back of my hand. I took several deep breaths before I could speak. "Get up." She grabbed my hand again, her voice a hoarse sob. "I won't. I'll kneel here until you agree. Leo, I'm begging you, please." The sound of her crying echoed in my ears. I pulled my hand, now pale and bruised, from her grasp. Keeping my voice as steady as possible, I said, "Get up. I'll do it." The crying stopped abruptly. She stared at me for a moment. Then a look of post-disaster joy slowly spread across her withered face. She murmured, "Really? Leo, you really agree? Then let's go to the hospital now, okay? Let's go right." I swallowed the bitterness and smiled. "I was just in a meeting. You have to let me arrange my work first." After helping her up, I walked to the window and made a call. The first time, no one answered. With trembling hands, I dialed again. The moment I heard his voice, the burning sensation in my eyes became unbearable. "Why are you calling at this hour? Miss me? I just had a partner come to the office. Alan." "Leo, are you crying? What happened? Are you at your office?" "Don't cry, baby." I took several deep breaths and finally said the words. "Alan, I need you." Alan was on his way. He stayed on the phone with me the whole time. I answered whatever he asked, and I told him the things he didn't ask. He knew everything now about my parents. "Leo, Leo, I want to punch you and hug you at the same time. Then you'd better hurry up. Don't rush me, sweetheart. I'm already pushing the speed limit. Then I won't rush you. I'm hanging up." "Hey, don't hang up. You're not allowed to. I can't relax if I can't hear your voice. I have nothing left to say." "Then listen to me. I haven't told you my side of things yet. Aren't you even a little bit curious about the years I was gone?" I sat cross-legged on the floor, watching the cars come and go outside the window, then talk. After a long sigh, I heard him say, "In college, I actually still wanted to chase you. I went to find you 10 times, and 9 of those times I saw you with another alpha. You two were always close, laughing and talking. I thought back then that maybe I just wasn't your type, so it didn't matter how hard I tried." I gave a weary laugh. "That's my current business partner, Ryan. His kid is 2 months old." There was a pause on the other end of the line. "I'm so damn useless." He continued, "Right before college graduation, my grandmother was diagnosed with late-stage cancer. She had to go abroad for treatment. So I applied for a master's program overseas and went with her. We fought it for 3 years, but she didn't make it. As she was dying, she held my hand and said her only regret was not getting to see what her granddaughter-in-law looked like. I showed her your picture. She was very happy with it, said we were a perfect match, and that she'd watch over you for me from heaven and that I should hurry up. After I brought her back home to be buried, I went looking for you once. I saw you had your own career, you were full of life and ambition, and that same alpha was still by your side. I thought I was too late. Coincidentally, my company's overseas branch was short-staffed, so I went back abroad for another 3 years. Leo, in total, it's been 10 years, and I've never stopped thinking about you. I've missed you so much. So when I saw you that night, I wanted to control myself, but I really couldn't. Can we not talk about that night? Okay, we won't. I'm at your building. Count to 10. 10, 9, 8, 7. Count slower, sweetheart. Then I won't count. I hung up and walked toward the door. My steps slowed unconsciously. The moment I pulled the door open, Alan was there. He was panting slightly as he pulled me into his arms. He held me until his pounding heart calmed down. Then he let me go. He looked me over from head to toe. You're okay. A little puffy around the eyes, but okay. Where is she? I led him a few steps further into the room and pointed. Alan took my hand, walked over, and sat down across from her. His tone was as serious as if he were in a business negotiation.
Maeksu, hello.
I am Leo's alpha and the father of his child. If you have something to discuss, you can discuss it with me. The room fell into a heavy silence. I looked at Serena. He's not lying, and neither was I. What I promised you, he'll take care of for me. After this, I don't owe you anything. With that, there was nothing left for me to say. I left the rest to Alan. As I stepped out of my office, Ryan blocked my path. What's the situation, Leo? You got the head of the Sterling Group to come all the way down here? Are you expanding the business? I thought for a moment and decided to come clean.
I'm pregnant.
Ryan's eyes went wide. It's his. Holy shit. He chased me in high school. We just reconnected 2 months ago. I reached up and gently pushed his jaw closed. I'm gonna borrow your office for a bit. I had only taken 2 steps when he grabbed my arm. Wait, you left him in your office and came out? What's that about? My mom is in there too. As we walked toward Ryan's office, I briefly explained the situation with the transplant. He closed the door behind us and gave me a quick hug. What a mess. So when are you two getting married? Talk about a change of subject. I pulled his arm off me and headed for the couch. We're not in a rush. TSK. You've got a kid on the way and you still won't make an honest man out of Mr. Vance. Fine, have it your way. You rest, I've got to get back to work. Go on, get out of here. I had been lying down for about 10 minutes. My phone rang. Leo, I heard you're pregnant. How far along are you? When are you guys getting married? Those two. 1 month later, I was taking a nap in my office. Alan burst in and told me he had found a bone marrow match. He had also paid for all the associated costs. Consider it repaying her for giving birth to you. When her time comes, we'll pay our respects at her funeral, and then let's see anyone dare to say a bad word about you. I laughed. You've really thought this through. Of course. Alan suddenly reached out and cupped my face. Leo, am I reliable? You are. So, do you want to marry me? Let go of me first. Alan pecked me on the lips twice before releasing me. Come on, say it. If you don't, you're not leaving this room today. I pretended not to hear his threat and shifted into a more comfortable reclining position. Alan, I have a question for you. Go ahead. Why, could you hold on for so long? From high school until now, I'd lost count of how many times I'd pushed him away, but he just kept coming back, again and again. Have I ever told you something? What? Alan's expression suddenly turned serious. It's like you have this natural pull on me. Because of our pheromones? To hell with the pheromones. I mean, yeah, we're a great match, but the first time I saw you, you hadn't even presented yet. So, you were someone I liked from the very first moment. And just the thought of being the person you could finally rely on, it made me ecstatic. It's just a shame it took me so long to understand. You didn't want to be the clinging vine, you wanted to be a tree standing shoulder to shoulder with me. My love back then was too reckless, and it just became a burden for you, didn't it? I looked into his deep, dark eyes. For some reason, my nose started to sting. Alan leaned in a little closer. Leo, I can feel the love you have for me. It's a lot. I couldn't take it anymore. I raised a hand and gave him a light punch on the chest. Alan, you're doing this on purpose, aren't you? He just stared at me and smiled. When he was done smiling, he leaned in to kiss me again. He kissed me until I could smell my own bamboo scent in the air. Then Alan pulled me down onto the bed with him. The scent of green sandalwood began to fill the room. Any more questions? I grabbed a handful of his hair and tugged. Yes. A dream I'd had a few days ago popped into my head.
Alan.
Ask away. Are you gonna go bald? Are you gonna get a beer belly? Will you always love me this much? Alan narrowed his eyes. That's it? I nodded. Listen up, Leo. First, no one in my family for 4 generations has gone bald. Not even on the extended branches. Second, I've always had abs. 8 of them. Third, he reached up and gently pinched my left earlobe. I will always love you. I will love you so much. And I will only love you. Feel better now? MHM. Then will you marry me? I will. I can't hear you. A little louder. I will. Just then, the alarm I'd set for my nap went off. I started to get up, but he pulled me back down. Don't move. Any more wiggling and the baby will think we're up to no good. I think this bed is a little small. I'll take you to the break room in my executive office sometime. The bed there is huge. We can roll around all we want. I saw him start to tug at the hem of my shirt. I gave him a lazy push, amused. Have some shame, Alan Vance. No. What do I need shame for? He pinned my hands down on either side of my head, a triumphant look on his face. I never would have gotten you if I had any shame. That was true. I parted my lips to meet his kiss and mumbled with a smile, you can start having some now.